Hey guys, welcome to Achieve with Carolina Live. If this is your first time signing on, I'm Carolina Romaniuk, your child and family sleep specialist, and I help parents to get a good night's sleep and to understand their children's sleep needs. So I'm a little late tonight. I had some technical difficulties, but we're on. Hey Jane, hey, how are ya? So uh, you know, today was it was nice outside. I don't know, where I'm broadcasting from today, but if you're in New York, it was pretty nice to go outside and just to kind of stroll around. I had an in-home consultation today, so it went fabulous. I'm really excited to start working with the parents on getting their little ones sleeping. So it was freezing, really? I don't know. It was kind of nice where I was. Um, Maybe I was just dressed super warm. I don't know. But so today, what I wanted to talk to you about, and Valentine's Day is coming up. It's Love Month. So that could mean a couple of different things. I don't know in your household how it is. In mine, we don't really celebrate Valentine's Day. A Valentine's Day should be every day. But in some families, I've asked actually a couple of my clients, and I asked so what are you guys doing for Valentine's Day? Most of them said nothing. Trying to get sleep. That's what it was on everyone's to-do list. So what are you guys doing if on Valentine's Day or for the month of February? Is there anything special? Today's actually my mama's birthday, so if my mom is going to be watching today or tonight, soon, I wanted to give her a shout out. Love you, mama. Happy birthday. I wish you all of the best. She actually bought me this necklace, so just want to give a shout out to my mommy. And oh, you're going on vacation, Lana. Very cool. So I want to go on vacation. It's been a while. So tonight, what we're going to be talking about are two factors on sleep advice that you most likely have heard. When we become parents, all of a sudden the portal for advice just starts pouring in, and we don't know what to do with it, and it's just a lot. So some things are true, some are false, so we kind of want to debunk the ones that you need and the ones that are just, you could wash them away. So there are two that I usually get asked, and hi Larissa, thanks for joining. There are two pieces of advice that I usually get mentioned from parents. Is this true? Is this not? What do I do? So I wanted to kind of debunk them tonight. And one of them is keeping your little one up longer so then they'll sleep longer. Have you heard that one? Give me a thumbs up if you've heard that sleep advice before. I want to know from you. Cool. So I'm assuming that is no way. Oh, Jane, you never heard of that? Keep them up longer so then they'll sleep longer? Oh, you've heard, but yeah, no way. You don't want to do that. So that is false. The reason why is because sleep needs to be balanced. If you keep your little one up longer, what happens is that they go into overdrive. And oh, awesome, Jane, you refuse to do that. Yeah, you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that your little one is rested. So to get for you to understand how much sleep your little one needs, there's two ways that you can go about that. One is you can go on my website, and I have under free goodies a list of what you need to know about your child's sleep from newborn up until 3 years old, and that will go into the breakdown of how many hours your little one should be getting. So you should be keeping a sleep diary on your own and making sure that it correlates to that time frame. You want to not keep them up longer than what they need. You need to be giving your little one as much rest as possible. When we become parents, we don't really realize how much sleep our little ones need, and they need a lot of sleep. Newborns can get anywhere between 16 to 18 hours of sleep. So they're sleeping practically almost the entire day. And for us, it just seems that, sleep, it revolves around everything. And it does when your kids are little. So if you're taking away sleep that their body needs, because that's when they restore parts in their body, that's when they start to categorize things, that's when they start to grow, to develop. Everything happens. Health is a reflection of how your sleep is. So if your sleep is poorly, your health is poor. So you want to be healthy and you want to give your children the best possible sleep as possible. So by keeping them up longer than what is needed, you're actually taking away their sleep needs, their sleep nutrition. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you're giving them the proper amount of sleep that their body needs for their age. So, hi Helen, I saw we got Renata's on, so I'm getting my regulars. I'm loving this. Let me know, join the conversation, girls, if you have heard any of these two advices, and what have you implemented them? Do you think that they're false? Do you think they're true? So the first one was keeping them up longer, so then they'll stay awake, so then they'll sleep longer, and that's completely false. Most kids don't do that, so I would have some people also say, let them skip naps, let them stay up a little later past their bedtime, then they'll sleep beautifully at night. It doesn't work that way. Sleep begets sleep. So if you're taking away sleep from a child, what happens is they're going into overdrive. Their body goes into adrenaline mode, and then you are 99% of a chance that you will have night wakings. You can have a couple of night wakings, you can have one night waking. Some kids, if they're really sensitive, they can have 10. I've had that happen before. Not with my kids, but with clients that I've had in the past, that their children will be waking up, for a long period of time, and they'll be on a consistent basis of that. So bottom line is, you don't want to eliminate or keep them up longer past their bedtime or past their nap time. You want to make sure that you have a schedule for them. The second sleep advice for tonight is going to be never wake a sleeping baby. So when I had my first son, I have two. When Ari was little, I remember my mom, I remember my doctor. A lot of people would tell me that, and they would say, never wake a sleeping baby. They have to be sleeping, right? Sleep. That's complete bullcrap. Because there are a couple of times, there are certain times that you would actually need to wake them up to protect their sleep. So I'm going to go into a couple of those aspects. There are actually three different reasons and why you would need to wake a sleeping baby and when you would need to do that. So the first one is, I'm reading this off my notes, wake the sleeping baby if they're getting too much day sleep, which equals not enough night sleep. So if they're, remember how I mentioned to you that there's a certain amount of time during the day that your little one's supposed to be sleeping? So you don't want to exceed those hours. You want to make sure that it's within that time frame. Now, if you start to see that your little one is surpassing that time, you're going into a next phase of sleep where you're taking away nighttime sleep, the hours that they need at night, and you're putting them in during the day. And you don't want that. You want the sleep to be balanced. You want to make sure that they're not exceeding too much during the day, that they're not, that they're overcompensating for daytime sleep from nighttime. So you want to make sure that that's balanced. If you start to see that your little one is sleeping more during the day, you would need to cap those naps, and you would need to cap them so they would be equivalent to how much you would need for their age to equate to that. And thanks for liking, guys. Make sure that you share this video also. The share button is right below over there. See my big finger? Just share it so then we can get more of your friends on if they have any questions regarding this. Sharing is caring. So to get back to that part that I was mentioning, is that you don't want them to get too much sleep. You want to make sure that it's balanced out. And if you're not balanced within the sleep, then you're guaranteed night wakings too. So one of the things that you would do is to cap the naps off. Now the second part is wake your sleeping baby if you're postponing a nap transition. So there are two times when your kids are going to go through nap transitions. One is when they're going into 3 to 2 naps. That happens at closer towards 8 months. So anywhere between 6 to 8 months, ideally at 8 months, you want them to be already on a 2 nap schedule at 8 months prior to that, it's usually 3 naps that they're doing. So when you're transitioning from 3 to 2, or when they're closer towards 18 months, then they're going to be going from 2 to 1 nap. So when transitions start to occur, a couple of things start to happen. If you don't do it properly, you can have early rising, like early awakings. You can have overtiredness, crankiness, lots of tantrums go on there. And the third aspect is early bedtimes. So there's 3 things that can fall into that category. When you are doing transitions, you want to make sure that you are capping off the first nap to a certain amount. Again, making sure that it's balanced. Your whole thing is you want to have the naps balanced within the age appropriateness for your little one. You don't want it to go above that, to that aspect. So nap transitions are really important, knowing when your child has to be transitioned and keeping it as long as possible towards that time frame when they're transitioning. So I'm seeing that I'm getting questions. I just want to go through what I'm chatting about, and then I'm going to go and start answering them in a few minutes, okay? So the third aspect is wake your sleeping baby if naps are running too late. So if you start to notice that your schedule is being shifted, and you one time had wake up at 7, then the first nap was at 1, then the first nap was at 9, then the second nap was like at 1, and then you had a third nap at like 3:30, and then you had bedtime, right? Now all of a sudden you're starting to see that it's getting later and later and later. So then they'll wake up at 8, then they'll have at 10, then at 2, then at 4 or 4:30, and then it's later. And then things just start to get shifting. So to get them back on schedule, what you would want to do is to start capping off, you would cap off the naps too. So capping is kind of your go-to when you need to kind of get them back on track. So those are my tips for you today on the sleep advice and debunking them. So the 2 factors that we were going about today was sleep advice number 1, that is completely false, is keeping your little one up longer than what they actually need. And sleep advice number 2, that is completely false, is never wake a sleeping baby. Okay, so now I would love to hear from you guys on what sleep wives' tales have you heard. I want to kind of know, because I get the weirdest ones, but it's kind of interesting to hear it from my sleep peeps. So I want to know from you. Type it in on the comments below. What kind of wives' tales have you heard? Let me know in the comments below. And to keep you up to date on the videos, on any type of other information that I'm sharing, make sure that you subscribe to my page and that you follow it, so then you know when I'm going to be having the videos. It's actually every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but you would want to know the topics and anything else that I'm incorporating, such as my events that I'm going to be doing. I have 2 that are coming up this month, and you want to get first dibs, and that always comes out to my viewers first. So make sure that you subscribe to the video, to the page, like it, share it with your friends, and now I guess I'll start answering some questions. Understand that healthy sleep is addicting, right? And there is no health if there's no sleep. So we want to establish healthy sleep with our little ones, and it doesn't have to be daunting. It can be an easy process, and that's what I'm here to help you with. So I'm going to answer some questions, okay? I'm going to go scroll up. Let's see, because I want to go through all of them. Okay, so Lana asks, what do you do on vacation when you want to go to dinner? Do you put the baby to sleep in the carriage? Lana, that's not a something that we're talking about today, but I'm going to answer that question. Since you are going on vacation soon, and we want to make sure that you're going to have a splendid time. So let me read the question again. What do you do on vacation when you want to go to dinner? Do you put the baby to sleep in the carriage, in the stroller? So it depends on how old they are. I think yours is under 2 years, if I do recall. Then that's fine. They have certain pieces where you can, put like a little blanket over so you can make it nice and dark. They have the white noise machines also that you can block out any type of sound that you can attach to the stroller. They have the mobile versions of that, so you can use that. If you're on vacation and your little one can sleep in the stroller, that's okay. Ideally it's in the crib, but you can, remember my 80-20 rule. So 80% of the time you follow one specific plan, 20% of the time you have life. So it's totally fine that she can be sleeping in the stroller, as long as you get her back on track when you come home, and that she's sleeping beautifully in her crib. So I hope that answers your question. Jane says, we do early dinners on vacation, like 5:30 or 6. Yes, that's also really good that you can do early ones. Sometimes that doesn't work out. So if you do have to do a later one, that's totally fine to do that, because they're going to most likely be sleeping at that point anyway, if you have like an 8 o'clock dinner on that. But if you want them to be part of the dinner, you can do it early, and then maybe go take a stroll outside when you're going on vacation. I'm assuming that you're going somewhere nice and warm. And you can go outside for a stroll on that, and then just go head back into your room and then go for the night for that. Let's see. Jane says, I know it's not fun, but it's so much more peaceful. Yes, it is. When you go a little bit earlier, hey Renata, and hey Alyssa, when you go a little bit earlier, for dinner, it is a little more relaxing. Yeah, it does kind of burst your bubble, because you want to go later. We're used to going to dinner around 8-9 o'clock, 7 sometimes, but you're on vacation, so relax, have fun, don't stress about it. Okay, let's see. Helen has a question. When would you cap off sleep for a 3-month-old? You don't. So sleep training starts at 4 months. You don't cap any sleep prior to that. I would not cap any sleep probably until 8 months, even if that. It might not even be needed. Most kids, they go from their transitions gradually and naturally. So if you start to notice that when you're going through the transition that it's interfering with their sleep and you're having more night wakings than usual, then you would want to cap it off. But do not, Helen, cap off any naps. Don't cap off anything, actually. You don't even need to create a schedule right now, because your little one under 4 months of age is biologically immature to create any type of a pattern. So really what you want to go by is just off of their cues, their tired cues, their sleep cues. When they're exhausted, just put them down. Don't worry about that. You can't create any type of an association at this age. They're way too young. Your main goal is really just to bond, get a chance to know your baby, have your baby get a chance to know her mama, and that's it. It's really what you need to do. Don't stress over anything about creating any type of an association, because it's not possible at this age. It starts to happen when they are 4 months, when they create more organized patterns and they start to understand, okay, this happens, then this happens, and that's how I fall asleep. So you kind of want to focus on that, as opposed to right now, the 3 months. Right now you have a beautiful newborn infant, and just stay with that. Just bond with your little one. Don't stress over anything else. So I'm seeing that we're getting a lot more viewers. Just to do a recap, what we were talking about were 2 main factors on sleep myths that I debunked, and one of them was sleep myth advice. Number 1 is keeping your little one up longer, so then they'll sleep longer. And the second one is never wake a sleeping baby. Both are false. So if you want to get the answers to that, you can watch the replay. And right now I'm just answering a couple of questions. Hi, Abigail. Oh, thanks, Esther. They're actually my sister's glasses. I had my lenses put in for my prescription because my son decided to sit on my old ones and they cracked. But the cutest thing he did, he actually tried to fix them. So he's 6 years old. He put Scotch tape right in the center. And he's like, Mama, I fixed them. Well, yeah, I couldn't wear them. So I just took these because my lovely sister went to go get that eye surgery stuff where she doesn't need any glasses or anything. But I actually like the glasses. So, yeah, Abigail, so I mentioned what we were talking about before. Oh, Renata is responding. So awesome. If you're signing on right now and you miss the beginning of our conversation, you can kind of recap on the replay and then start to comment on afterwards so then I can answer your questions. Hi, Hannah. So Angelica asks, how long should a 2-year-old sleep for his one nap during the day? So that's usually, how much is that? Approximately close to 2 hours. So you would want anywhere between like 1 to 2 hours. You don't really want it to surpass that, because then if it goes a little bit longer, like 2.5 or 3, then you start to go into the night sleep and you're diminishing from that. So we don't want that to happen. Let's see. Okay, Esther. Myth I've heard, if you use a white noise machine, your baby will be addicted and won't be able to sleep without it. False. So I actually spoke about that before. And a white noise machine, you can't get addicted to it. All it is, it's an assistance for sleep. It helps to enhance sleep. So it's kind of like how we use pillows and blankets. We don't need them, but they help us sleep. So we don't get what's the word, addicted to it by using a pillow. I mean, we could sleep perfectly fine on the floor, on a hardwood floor, right? But we choose comfort instead. So using a white noise machine just helps us to reminisce back when we were in our first home, which is our mama's womb, and it helps us sleep. That's really what it is. If you don't use it, it's not going to heavily affect your little one. Sometimes kids are a little more sensitive to sound, so the white noise machine helps to mask out any type of sound. So it does help with that. Same thing as blackout curtains. So you want to use those to block out any type of light. If it's natural or artificial light, it suppresses our sleep hormone, and then it's very difficult for us to fall asleep. So blackout curtains also, they're not addictive, but they help enhance sleep. So that's why you would want to use those two props. Let's see. Lana asks, that's when we will need you. After vacation, we will start. I'll be waiting. Okay, Angelica. And what time is too late for a nap in the day? Hold on, let me go back. For a 2-year-old, usually you kind of would want to cap it off anywhere between 3 and 4. So not later than 4 o'clock for any type of nap, because then that starts to affect bedtime. Renata, my son just turned 2 and he can nap 2 to 3 hours during the day, and then he won't go to sleep until almost 11 p.m. When should I cap the nap? So it depends on what time he is napping, Renata. You want to cap his nap off by 2 hours. If he takes until 11 o'clock, you need to keep a sleep diary for yourself and to see when you cap him off. Some kids, even sleeping for 2 hours might not be enough. You might need to cap it by to 1 hour. So you kind of have to play around with that and keep a sleep diary for yourself for at least 5 days to see how the patterns are starting to form and if his bedtime is being easier. Also, you want to see how you're putting him down. What is your bedtime routine? Does it take forever for you to put him down to sleep? Does it take you a couple of minutes to put him down to sleep? Because if it's taking him up until 11 o'clock, and let's say you put him down at 9, that means that you've passed his sleep window. So two things could have happened. One, either he has slept so much during the day that he's just generally not tired by the time nighttime happens, or two, you've just passed his sleep window. So you kind of want to keep track of that, and that's how the sleep diary will help you. Hi Talia, thanks for joining. If you want to do a recap of what I was talking about, just watch the replay, and then if you have any questions, feel free to comment, and then I'll be able to answer it later. You're welcome, Helen. Okay, let's see. Esther, I know it's cute, right? I took my sister's classes. Aw, Abigail, you're so sweet. Well, I mean, I can't go on here and be wearing pajamas. So, actually, I'm having a pretty good hair day. So, I left it that way. Okay. Alyssa, what time should a 2, almost 3-year-old go to sleep for the night? It depends on what time that they wake up. Ideally, you would want not later than 8, maybe 8:30, but I would want to see what time that they're napping, and they should be napping at that age. If they're closer towards 3, sometimes kids like to push off naps and at least doing some sort of a quiet time for them. So I would keep a sleep diary also for yourself, and see what time that you're placing them down. Naps from 1 to 3. Okay, cool. So that's a good time for napping. Yeah, like roughly like around 8 o'clock. That should be a pretty good time. Keep a diary for yourself. If you start to notice that he is a little bit more tired earlier, then you can put him down earlier. If you see that, let's say you're putting him down at 8 and he's falling asleep every day at 8:30 or 9, then that diary will show you some sort of a pattern on what time to put him down to sleep. So keep a diary for yourself. At least that way you can keep track of things. Hi, Jane. Okay, Talia has, I know that cry it out is very controversial, but if recommended, when is the best time to begin for naps particularly? So yes, so cry it out is controversial, but it works. There's nothing harmful about it, because when you are instilling proper sleep hygiene, it's a method, it's an approach, and it works if you are complementing the child's behavior and age appropriate. Of course, you're not going to use a direct approach such as cry it out or intervals on an infant. Usually I wouldn't recommend that. I would go more of a gradual aspect, but it does work. All the methods that you can practically Google online, they all work. So Talia, your baby's 3.5. Yeah, I wouldn't do cry it out. I wouldn't even sleep train at that age. I would start to train closer when she's 4 months. When I work with a family and a child is between 4 to 6 months, it usually takes a month for them to create a perfect sleep hygiene plan, because they're growing within that time frame. So the first thing that I would do is work with nighttime sleep. It's usually the easiest because you get the longest consolidated sleep. So the first aspect I would focus on is, 1 is the schedule, 2 is how you're putting them down to sleep. So are they forming any type of an association? Now remember when I said that associations start to form only by 4 months. So at 3.5 months, you're still quite young in that. So I wouldn't, oh my goodness, Renata, your phone died, I'm sorry. Watch the recap. So she will be 4 months and 2 weeks though. Okay, so I would wait, 2 weeks, a lot can change, and I wouldn't start focusing on anything right now. You can, if you want to start on something, I would create the sleep environment first, and then you can go on to the method approach, and then onto the schedule. So you can kind of work on your way backwards on that aspect. But you want to make sure that you are creating the perfect sleep environment at first, so your little one can start sleeping beautifully that way. Now, if you need help with any type of an approach and the schedule, just contact me and then we'll put something together. You can PM me on the page, or you can email me at itsme@achievewithcarolina.com. Okay, so I hope that answered your question. Let's see. Who else has questions? Esther says, is it too late to cry it out for a 2-year-old? No, it's not. If their behavior is very strong, Esther, you can do cry it out. It's totally fine to do it that way. It's not too late for their age. But you kind of have to see, you can't just do cry it out and let them, wail out. You might need to instill other behavioral coaching aspects onto that. But as far as a method, that's totally fine to do that. It's not too late to do that. One thing that I do want you to keep in mind, though, is that at 2 years old, if you do cry it out, sometimes the child gets really pissed off and they can climb out of the bed. So I would have something under my sleeve just to help with that factor if that does happen. So but crying it out, you can totally do that at 2 years old. You're welcome, Talia. Hi, Zarina, thanks for joining. So I wonder if I have any more questions. Let's see, what time is it? Okay, so we are making good timing. Anyone have any more questions? I know that some people that share the video, they share it to their friends, and then they kind of look at, oh my gosh, it's 45 minutes, it's a half an hour. But really, most of it is me giving you guys tips for 10 to 15 minutes. And then the rest of it is us having a conversation. So I don't want anyone that is watching the replay, or if you're sending it to your friends and they freak out that, oh my god, where am I going to fit 45 minutes in my schedule to try and watch this video? So just let them know that it's roughly like 10 to 15 minutes of me doing talking at the beginning with giving you tips, and then after our questions that I get. So Esther says, he usually goes to bed fine, but anytime before 11 he gives us trouble. If it is around 11 he falls asleep, no problem. So 11 is a really late bedtime. He needs to go to sleep earlier. Usually 11 is already when the body of a child is just so exhausted that they just pass out. If he gives you a hard time before that, I'm wondering what time that is. I would watch his sleep cues and to go by that. So it can be as early as 7 for some kids. If they are so exhausted, it can literally be 6:37. Because sometimes I put my 6-year-old down to sleep at 6:30 when he has had a crazy couple of days of going to bed, like at 8, because he is wrestling. So you start at 9. You need to do much earlier than that. That's why he goes to sleep at closer towards 11, Esther. So usually what happens is, if you pass the sleep window, you have anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour until the next cycle of melatonin, which is your sleep hormone, starts to elevate. So there's literally nothing you can do except to wait it out until he becomes calm again and he wants to go to sleep, which at that time is closer towards 11. So we want to eliminate that. Bedtime gotta be earlier, girl. I saw that if you're afraid that he'll wake up in the middle of the night, the only way that you'll know is if you try it. But what you're doing is, if you're putting him to sleep later, you're diminishing his sleep nutrition that he needs. So he needs to go to bed earlier. You're lucky if he's sleeping through the night right now, but that can just accumulate, and then you can start getting night wakings later on. But I highly suggest to put him to bed earlier, so at least that he's getting better sleep. If you see that that's not working, then you can go back to your 11 o'clock, but I highly doubt that you're going to go back to that time. You need to go up earlier. If you see that it's still taking him time to fall asleep, then you got to keep bumping up that bedtime earlier and earlier until you hit his sleep sweet spot. Keep a diary. Your diary is going to save you, and it's what's going to help you in knowing when his sleep sweet spot is. Okay? Got it? You're welcome. Let me see who else. And then I gotta go to bed. Talia, do you believe in the 2-3-4 nap schedule? It works for some people. I don't say no. It's common. Most people use the 2-3-4 nap schedule. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. For the ages of for the ages of 4 to 6 months, I work off of awake times, and then after that I do biological times. So if it works for you, you can use a 2, 3, 4 nap schedule. It's not necessarily if I believe in it or if I don't believe in it. For some people it works. It's the same thing as asking a question about methods. Do you believe in this method or do you believe in that method? They all work. You just kind of have to test it out, see if it works for your little one. Sometimes it does, and if it doesn't, I don't want you to beat yourself up about it and think that, oh my God, that there's no solution to this. So most of the time, like through my training, where we go through biological aspects in your circadian rhythm, making sure that we're complementing those times, that is what we would work on together. So the 2, 3, 4 nap schedule, it's more of a theory basis. So if it does work for you and you've used it, stick with it. So that's good. Sometimes it doesn't work, and I don't want a family to think that if they've tried it and it hasn't helped them, which I've had plenty of families that came to me and tried that approach and it hasn't worked. I don't want them to think that there's no other solution that's out there. So if it has worked for you and if you've tried it, 2 thumbs up. Okay, let's see. What else? Renata asks, well, not known, I'll put my 2-year-old to sleep. Oh my gosh, Renata, you got to put your 2-year-old to sleep like 2 hours ago, girl. You're welcome, Talia. Zarina says, is it normal for toddlers to move a lot in their sleep? Yes, toddlers are, like babies are really noisy when they sleep. Like they grunt, they snort. It's just, they're so loud. Toddlers, they move all over the place. You put a toddler down and they'll never sleep in the same position. They'll, I have spinners. I have some kids that like to kick, so they're all over the place. But it's normal for that. If you start to notice that your little one is kicking a lot when you put them down, keep note of that, because just keep note of that. If they're kicking, I mean like on a consistent basis, like their legs are just jerking all the time when they're sleeping. So I would just keep a diary of that. Angelica says, I cannot get it to where I put my child to sleep before 9. Yes, you can. I don't want to hear any words I cannot on my thread when you're talking to me, okay? There is a way. Just start to keep a diary and you'll notice when they are trying to, when they get really relaxed and they're staring into space, or they don't want to play with their toys, you'll notice that. You'll see it. It's a very small window, and it might be to the point that when they're quiet, you kind of go yourself and maybe go get some water or go to the bathroom or something like that. But that's the key when they should be sleeping. So do that, check it out, because if it's very hard for you to put them down before 9, that means that you've passed a window. So that is all for tonight. Thank you so much for loving the video, for liking it, for sharing it. And tomorrow, I have to see what we're going to be talking about, because I want it to be nice and juicy. And then I think Wednesday is February 1st, if that's correct. I don't know, I have to check my calendar. So sweet dreams, everyone. And I'm going to keep you posted on the 2 lovely events. Make sure that you subscribe to this, to my page. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Sweet dreams, everyone. Bye. Mwah.